What's that? Mini steady cam.
Yeah.
Nice. You thirsty yet?
No, not yet. Thanks. Whoops. Yeah.
So that's stormwater drain just on the other side of that hump. That's a sewage pump, that one there. Pumping sewage towards the treatment plant at the back. Here's the full stormwater drain. Yeah, this is still filling with sand. The geese have arrived. The Magpie Geese. I'm not hearing it now. I'm not seeing it. Yeah, now, all this silt here, this has all come from that flood event. And this delta here is growing and pushing out into the lagoon. So this is one of the stressors of this lagoon, is dirty water, which is carrying fine clays and stuff, which actually settle out in the lagoon. And this sandy delta is growing. Also, the faster flow of the stormwater drains brought a lot of new weeds just this summer into the lagoon, and those weeds are spreading out through these rushes. So the channel that National Parks finished digging in 2023 enters the lagoon over there in the northern corner, and that introduced salt water which killed all of these paperbark trees here, quite deliberately. That used to be open water, and over the last 25 years those paperbark trees have grown here, and National Parks decided they needed to be stopped. So now we've got half of the lagoon full of dead paperbark trees instead of live ones. So no game that I can make out. And this year, because we've had big rain in December, January and February, well, early February it stopped, the lilies and the bulkuru sedge, that's the spike rushes. The water lilies and spike rushes have thrived this year, whereas last year they suffered, especially the water lilies, which disappeared. They were killed out by mid-year by the repeated tidal inflows. And the freshwater ecology of the lagoon was damaged quite a lot. This year the salt water hasn't got in, despite the big tides, because they were blocked, not by National Parks. And it's looking, for all there's a lot of dead trees, it's looking much better than it did. But it's still suffering lots of pressures, like this dirty water, potential saltwater inflows through the channel. We'll see the channel later. And now I thought I'd heard geese. Let's walk along and we'll see if we can actually see some.
Yeah.
Look at the lilies. There's my son and Disney. He said, blew its wing out overnight, but it's calm now.
Are they just like the normal lilies? Like
There's a, nymphaea. There are many water lilies in Australia. You can get yellow ones, red ones, blue
I think
ones.
they look like the ones in Centennial Park.
Right. And last year they were little tiny flowers like this because of all the salt water. And the leaves were only small like this diameter because the salt water really hurt them. And this year they've had a lovely lot of fruit. It should be about, if they hadn't dug the channel, it'd be about this much deeper, the water. It'd be right up. You can see the old tide line. Well, if you know what you're looking at. Further back, past those big paperbark trees, the ones that are still alive, you can, if you know, you can see where the tide line was. Over half a metre higher than the water level is now. I'll go to the gauge later and actually get a measure on it, what the level is. This has a kind of stark beauty, doesn't it? Despite all the dead trees.
Yes.
And you see the lean on the trees, that's because of cyclonic wind. The big southeast wind blows them down.
So is there any kind of fish or type sort of things in there?
Yes, it's full of everything from barramundi in this lagoon at the moment to little mangrove jacks to bloody scats to mullet to all sorts of things. Little crescent perch, all sorts. Despite the weeds, it's quite beautiful. I'm not seeing geese. What do I mean not seeing geese? Look, right there, magpie geese. There's more here, there's one back here. Yeah, they were right. I saw one about a week ago.
And where do they come from?
Well, they've flown into the mainland. They just move wherever the water is. Now those magpie geese they nest. This is the bulkuru. This is a spike rush. And it forms dense beds. Now they usually nest down the far end, the bottom end of the lagoon over there on the far bank. Or not on the bank, but in the water, on top of, they tramp down the reeds and build their nests, as do the black ducks, in that bulkuru. And it's also known as water chestnut, so it has little starchy rhizomes, and the geese actually dig those rhizomes up from the bulkuru beds and feed and raise their young. On that as their main food.
Yeah.
And there are two different species of spike rush here. This is Iliocaris dulcis, and that's Chenoplectus littoralis, the tall dark one. It's about 3 times or twice as high as this. And as well there's bulrushes in there. There's a patch of bulrush at the back end of this lot of vegetation. They're spreading in the lagoon too. They seem to be able to stand a little bit of salt. that riverine spike rush is very tolerant to brackish water. There's at least 3 geese here right now. I thought I'd heard them. Salty water here, it'll be on the bottom because the salty water is more dense than fresh. Rinse it 3 times, put it upside down, down into the water to the bottom, and I invert it. Hold my hand over the top as it comes back up, and I should have a decent sample of the water down on the bottom. I've been making these same moves for a year.
So, who analyses the water?
Oh, I do. I've got a pH meter and a refractometer to check the salinity.
Oh.
Back at home. Now we're going to walk back to the car, and then we'll drive to the other end and then walk in for the other 2 sampling spots. I've got 1 sampling spot in the lagoon up there and 1 in the channel, which we'll get a good look at when we're down there. The channel that National Parks dug. It's the legs of the goose.
Oh.
What's that, plastic or something? No, it's the bright red legs of the goose.
Where is he?
Through here. Down over the road, you can get a full look at him through here. You'll see his orange leg, orange red.
Oh yeah. Oh. Ah. Yeah. Stilts.
Yeah. They're great up here in the tropics, those high sets. You can pour a slab underneath. My lender did that in town. She was hit by the flood in 2019. Almost got into a house, but it went through the back flat, which was concrete block on a slab. And then she got a house raised. Not confident that a bigger flood might come. Might not come someday. So she's got a raised slab under the house. So that stormwater drain here alongside this street up John Street, it's done the job of protecting houses along Horseshoe Bay Road and along Corrigan Crescent, which we've just passed. Because when there was a big event like this in past years, it used to run down that road, down Corrigan, and flood into people's houses. But this year, this big stormwater drain here actually coped with it. Unfortunately, it took a great mass of sediment. I'll just drive up and park and you can actually look out and see.
What's that metal structure there for?
That's the skateboard, and it's all covered in solar panels.
Wow.
So that's pouring power into the grid.
Oh.
So it's a solar farm.
Oh.
And leaning 19 degrees to the north,
Yeah. Oh.
which is about the angle of the sun in midwinter.
Yeah.
Where am I here?
Oh.
I'll just drive up on top. We don't even have to get out. Yeah, look at that. Look. So that's just part of the stormwater drain. It runs right around the oval, the sports field there, and all the way down. And it deepened by as much as a metre or more during that big rain event. And that's where all the sand in that stormwater drain came from.
I see.
Another case of poor design by the council. Well, down near the lagoon where we just were, that bottom street that runs parallel to the lagoon,
Yeah.
it had people paddling around in kayaks along during the height of this last rain event here. Here they come walking along the road. There's a footpath on the other side. They just don't even see it, hey? They're switched off.
Well, at least they're on the correct side of the road if you're...
Yeah, walking facing the traffic, I know. The trouble is that on the hill they walk on the bloody road and they walk around blind corners.
Yeah.
And they think, oh, we're on the right side of the road. But a car or a bus coming around can't even see them.
Yeah.
And run smack into them. Now here's the discharge from the lagoon. That's this channel. We'll walk back to look at this. I can park just here. And I'll get my other 6 samples. And there's the discharge running out. I'm going to tank up on more water, mate. Now, you've got to sort of stay ahead of it here in the tropics.
Yeah.
You just keep the water going in even if you don't think you feel thirsty.
Yeah.
Or the blood gets thicker and thicker and thicker.
We don't want that.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, and hold the handle up. Oops. Yep, safe. This is a pretty pure freshwater discharge, so this is the outflow from the lagoon. This is this is about 5 years old, this pedestrian bridge. That's the culvert where the flow from the lagoon comes. So this is where with 950 by 800 planked in plywood and timber shutters, 5 of them, place them as the tide started to flow into this culvert. And pretty much stopped. Absolutely no damage to the structure. As the tide levels fell after high tide, we simply removed the gates when the water level here on this side matched the water level on the upstream side and just lifted them out and took them away. And that's how it worked. And it saved the lagoon from a big salinisation. The water got the highest tide got about 200 millimetres above the top of the pipes there. At the bottom of that crack, you can see the top of that hump, that's where the water got to, and that's 4.3 metres of tide. 300 mil higher than it was predicted. Oh, Ergon's been at work over here. They put a new pole in. So there's been quite a bit of disturbance to the ground over there. They've shoved everything around and there was a boggy patch. They had trouble getting their machinery. Oh, they've anchored a pipe there. Now my tide gauge is over here. I hope that hasn't been destroyed.
Disturbance, it looks like they've destroyed it.
yeah. They've destroyed that patch. All the vegetation. Oh, they took out a few weeds anyway. There's my gauge, it's alright. What have we got? 3.8 metre. It's looking a bit dirty. No, that's 3.8. Yep. Got it. So Monday is the 3rd. 6, 7, 8. Yep.
So it's pretty clean water in the lagoon?
Yeah, pretty well pure fresh.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, the run-out's very slow here, hey? Because that's about 600 deep.
Yeah.
So the flow is probably hardly measurable. Oh, there was a barra move down the bottom there. Just saw the flash of his side. Golden yellow. There's a lot of young barra in the lagoon, up to about 400. And they'd be from last summer. And maybe a few from the previous summer. Although the previous summer they'd almost be leaving, 58 centimetres. That looks like flow now, but it could well just be stuff blowing in the wind. Oh, there is a bit of a flow there. Oh, it's shallower up here, that makes a difference. I've got a 10-metre strip here that I timed. So I throw something in up here.
got a friend, woman friend, she's fanatical about dragonflies. She asked me if I could make a drone to resemble a dragonfly, but as small as a dragonfly. So, well, I could, but geez, that's a...
After the big flood event, there was all sticks and logs and on poles and everything, and then when the first big tide ran in, just a day before we blocked it, and it was only supposed to be 3.66, which is 150 mil lower than this. But the tide came roaring and washed them all back up the channel and away. We were glad to see them there because they were helping to hold the fresh water. That's the blue-winged kookaburras. You can hear. The blue-winged kookaburra on the left.
They're a type of kingfisher, aren't they?
Yeah, we have forest kingfisher, sacred kingfisher, and little kingfisher.
Yeah.
Around this lagoon. And of course the kookaburras are the biggest kingfishers.
Yeah.
Let me go down this way. Four black ducks.
Oh. Huh.
This is one of my sampling spots here. Just hot here out of the breeze.
Oh.
Oh, there's a little bit of a breeze.
So it's quite a healthy ecosystem in here, and
Yeah, it's ephemeral because it dries up each year, but through the wet season,
yeah.
from anything from 3 or 4 to 8 months, there's this beautiful fresh water. These sedges, are they flowering? They look like they've got seeding heads on them across there. And the big riverine spike rushes have seeding heads on. Because these have been growing hard since early December, mid-December when we got good rain.
And are there other sort of animals here, like
Water rat, we got Rackley, the water rat.
water rat?
Yeah, Australia's biggest rat.
Oh,
Our only native rat on Maggie Island.
Oh.
It's the water rat.
yeah.
And there's quite a lot live here. They make a living eating fish and whatever they can catch, I suppose.
Yeah.
I have to wade out a bit here, so
Oh dear. Oh,
this is nardoo growing here. This little floating plant there, that's nardoo.
Yeah.
And that's the one that Aborigines used. It's a fern, and they'd collect the spores and grind them and then bake them and eat them in cakes. And Burke and Wills died on Cooper Creek. They were eating, they had lots of nardoo spores to eat, but they didn't know to cook them. And they ate them, and it causes a vitamin B something overload and or deficiency, and helped to kill them as they waited on the water for rescue.
well, as with what happened to a lot of these early travellers, they could have asked the local Aboriginal people.
Yeah, but they stole a lot of stored seed. They used to find huge coolamons stashed in logs all full of native grass seed that Aborigines were going to grind up and eat. And they just stole it and used it for bloody horse food and stuff.
Yeah.
Sturt and co.
Well, you know, that's pretty silly, isn't it? You know. Ask the locals, make friends with them instead of killing them. You might be all right. You know?
Yeah, that's right. They saw enemies everywhere.
Oh, look over there. There.
What did we do?
Oh, he went under. See where the ring is?
Yeah.
I think it was a rat.
Oh, good. Well, you were lucky to get a sighting. I've only seen one here in daylight. He'll surface somewhere.
It looked like a rat.
That's what it'd be, for sure. Of course, it's perfect conditions for him now. They've got little snorkels on their nostrils, so they can just stick their nostrils out to get a breath. There he goes. There he is. There's Rackley, the water rat. Yeah. He's gone down and got enough to hear. Great sighting. That's great. Oh, wow. That's brilliant.
So are they an actual rat?
Yeah, they're a rodent.
Yeah.
Native rodent.
And yet,
They've got webbed hind feet, and they paddle with their hind feet. And their clawed forefeet for catching crayfish and fish.
would they be related to the European rat?
No, they're very different. They would have been separate for many, many millions of years.
They must have had a common ancestor.
Well,
somewhere.
they're rodents and they're rats, but that's about as far as it is.
Yeah.
So they're our biggest native rat. They're bigger even than the white-tailed jungle rat.
Yeah.
The rainforest. Yeah, they're all black duck.
Huh?
I was just looking at the ducks and two of them, their faces look really pale.
Oh.
No, they're all the same.
Yeah.
Oh, lots of little mangrove jack here in the water, huh? It's a real fish nursery. In times past, when the connection was much higher, so we were walking along the channel that national parks had dug. In the past, a lot of these fish that had come in here to grow up would just be trapped. the lagoon would dry and jabiru and other things would come and eat them all. Well, there's a fish left there. But I'd like to see it managed with some sort of gate, so that in July last year I watched hundreds of barramundi leave as the water fell, and a tide came, and they were all lined up waiting for the tide to come, and then they all swam against the current out to the sea to join the local population. And I thought it'd be lovely to manage this as like a fish nursery habitat, to contribute to the local fishery and fish population. 600. There's quite deep mud in the bottom here. Oh, it's lovely. Lovely to see it like this. It's here. Three to go.
Wow.
We've got a spot down in the channel on our way back.
Do you think we could maybe have a quick look out here with the drone, or is it better around there?
Well, this is open ground.
We could like just send it around there, I don't know.
Yeah, well, you can probably fly it from here.
Yeah, and just out.
Yeah, well, this would be a good place because you can. So that's where in 2015, when the contractor was finished pushing this channel here, he worked with a big bucket, dumping the spoil on that bank. This is where he pushed the last of the dead trees and fill out into the lagoon itself. So now it drains straight through here and along the channel down here, which is one of my water sampling sites. I'm going to take 3 samples there, which gives me a measure on quality of what's flowing out. National Parks in December agreed that the salinisation of the lagoon had gone too far, and they've agreed to put some sort of barrier in this channel that we're standing beside now to control and manage the amount of tidal water that flows into the lagoon, which, as we've seen, can compromise the ecosystem, the freshwater ecosystem in the lagoon. And this is a potential site. I think this is close to the best potential site for such a weir. It could be, I used to think sandbags would be okay, but any weir is going to have, during a big outflow event, is going to have considerable turbulence on the downstream side and erosion. So it needs a long apron, at least 10 metres long, of something like mesh or concrete to prevent that erosion. So it's quite a task, and then national parks have to find the resources to do with it. And the moves that I and a friend are making is to control the inflows of tidal water and ideally the outflow to raise the lagoon level, to do with really low-key interventions and cheap to achieve those goals. This is another 10-metre run to this state where I've timed the flow speeds.
Yeah.
10 times. I was here one day, funny story, and I was just like this, just about to go into the water, and I heard splash. Oh, shit, crocodile. Could that be a crocodile? I thought, I won't take a water sample here today. This was last year. And then the next day I was down here, or a few days later I was down here, and I looked down the channel here, and an agile wallaby went, yeah, bang, landed in the middle, splosh, boing, straight up onto the next bank without touching the water again.
There you go.
And I thought, that's what it was. So I carried on taking water samples here then.
It's a relief. It's out having fun.
Better be safe than sorry.
I know. Has there been many historical instances of crocodiles? Or?
Up in here, no. There was a 2-metre croc in the estuary down further. We'll drive down and have a little look at the mouth of the creek. That'll finish the story of the passage of water. You've seen it from the top end of the inflow to the bottom.
I don't know what their behaviour is, but it's probably too far for crocodiles, isn't it?
Oh no, they're here.
Yeah?
Yeah, there was a little one, 1.5 metre one along in the Endeavour Creek Lagoon in the middle of the bay. Yeah. Where the creek busts through into the
Oh,
sea
okay.
Yeah.
Rain. When was that?
That was just a few weeks ago.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh. During the heavy rain, they all travel.
I see.
They travel in the oceans, tasting the water, and maybe I can find somewhere to live in there. Oh. They go and check things out.
Wow.
Okay, surface. Oops. see the spoil heap on the far bank. That's where the digger, as he came through digging this channel, he was dumping this spoil over there.
Oh, yeah.
But it means for the weir here, we've got a high bank here and a high bank there,
Yeah.
which would work well.
Oh.
Elbow is 300, armpit 6.
Oh.
Near enough is good enough.
I see.
That string line there is 4 metres of tide height.
Yeah.
That's the minimum height I'd like to see the weir built at. Ideally, I think 4.3 would be good. And if they did put it there, this still drains the lagoon quickly through the thingo if there's a big flood event. I could have shown you how high the water got. I reckon it was about this high when it was really full. And it drained 1 metre in 12 hours through the culvert. And over the road. It goes over the road when it gets that high.
Yeah.
Up there. Got all my moves worked out.
Well, yeah.
There was a big over 4 metre crocodile here around the island one time. He'd been trapped up north, brought down here and released at Alligator Creek, one of the creeks down south. And he was travelling, trying to get home obviously, and he was around the island for ages and everyone was saying, shoot him, bloody thing, he's closed the beaches. The beaches were closed for 3 weeks because he kept being seen all around the place. And when they finally trapped him in Ned Lee's Creek, he died. And then when they opened him up, he was full of bloody bait bags, plastic bait bags that fishermen had just been throwing over the sides because they smelt good, you know.
Wow.
And he was shocked. And then everyone was, oh, poor Whitey, poor Whitey. They called this croc Whitey. And
that's terrible.
yeah, it was really sad, the poor coot, you know.
I'm trying to get around here.
He's gut. This one. So this is the Reef fractometer. This is testing salinity. So we put a sample on the lens here. And then look through the barrel. And there's 0 salinity there. Pure fresh. Zero. Excellent.
Wow.
It's quite exhausting. The second one went 6. And then I send them off to national parks and council and to different people in national parks. Oh, one part per thousand.
And
Seawater is 35 parts per thousand. So that's as closest I ever got to a clean sheet, of pure fresh water.
And so where was that one taken from?
That was in the channel on the bottom.
Yeah.
So there was the last little bit of brackish water down there, and it's barely brackish at all. That's great. And that was despite some water getting in. A little bit of salt water, tidal water did get in.
Can I have a look through there?
Yes.
Just to see what it looks like.
I don't know if you can get it with your camera.
Oh, I'll have a look first. And oh.
That must be there. What's happening?
Oh.
I don't know why. I had a quick look through there and I saw nothing. So let's put a sample in there. Right. Yeah.
What am I looking for?
Just look straight through. You can see the dark blue comes down.
Oh yeah.
At the bottom of the blue on the
Yeah. I see.
on the grid.
If we can get that. We just where's the camera? There. Oh, nearly. Is it?
Yeah, only you
I
can
got
see it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't see.
Yeah.
So
I got
that's a zero reading.
Yeah. Huh.
Oh, neat work. And I've got a 7.2 pH. All right.
Cool. And how long have you been doing it?
A year now. Well, a year plus 2 months. No, plus 13 months. Yeah, just for love of the lagoon.
Yeah.
Bag, and then I rinse all these, give them a wash, and dry them and put them back in the bag for next time.
Right. And so when's the next time? How long between each?
There's going to be some tides which might put a little bit of water in the lagoon this weekend. So I'll test them after that, and then I'll know if any tidal water got in, because some of these values will rise, and if they don't, I don't expect them to, because they're only forecast to go to 3.72 metres and the lagoon is at 3.8. So theoretically there should be no inflow. But sometimes the tides are higher than predicted. Depends what the air pressure is and what the winds are doing. Because tides do change, they do vary. The last set of tides, they were 300 mil higher a foot, because the cyclone